last weekend, Jamie specifically on Friday, just the way that he threw the ball and then mixed it up as much as he did. I think that seemed like the most that he mixed it up and kind of came off the off speed stuff and the cutter and changeup and slider. Just had what'd you think of how he's developing into kind of that complete pitcher?
Yeah, I mean, I think last year it was a two pitch mix, fastball slider primarily. There was some changeup sprinkled in there, but this year, especially early on, it seemed like people were trying to ambush the fastball. And against Louisville, you could sense that with the home run early in the game that they were just trying to get to this heater. And so for him to have the three other pitches, the cutter, the changeup, the slider in play, it was the lowest fastball usage he's had since, I can remember. I think it was like 33% fastball usage. So for to see him be able to beat people in multitude of ways is, I think, impressive. And he's a good pitcher and the best in the country. And there's a reason he's good. You can come in and try to take the fastball away. He can pitch around that, and if you try to sit soft, he can beat you there. So it's kind of exciting to see him be able to beat people a multitude of ways.
Micah, just going to the bullpen, we've obviously seen some highs and lows. Just kind of as you get in the stretch run, what's the key if there's one thing for just the group of guys out in the pen and finding some of that consistency?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, it seems like the lows have been really low. We're not losing, 5-4 games or 6-4. When we're losing, we seem to be losing big. And the biggest thing is, as a reliever, when you put a guy in the game, you want to see him get that first guy. You're bringing them in to get that first guy. And I don't know how successful we've been at that. It seems to take us 2 to 3 hitters to get adjusted, and then when you get adjusted, there might be a cheap hit or a big hit that seems to put up the crooked number. So the biggest thing we're looking for is their ability to come in and get the first guy out and be fast starters. Like as a reliever, you're not like a starter. You don't have the luxury of starting slow. So we want to see him start fast. And the biggest thing I've noticed is the ability to close counts, the two strike pitches. Like, I feel like the execution with two strikes, expanding the zone hasn't been competitive. Our two strike pitches have lacked. The consistency of that has lacked. That's why you've seen a little bit of an up and down out of that bullpen. And so, there's good arms down there. There's guys that are going to be drafted. There's guys that'll play pro ball. It's not a lack of talent. We just need to execute better. I think sometimes those guys come in and try to do too much. Their heads get offline with two strikes. They try to throw the breaking ball a little bit harder. They're trying to throw the fastball by guys. You're not throwing fastballs by guys this time of year. You're going to have to execute pitches. And so for those guys, we want to see them start fast, get the first hitter out, and then also be able to not only leverage counts, but be able to finish counts. Like as a reliever, you have to be able to finish counts. And so that's kind of what we're looking for out of that group moving forward.
Mike, being at this point in May, do you like the fact that you still have this many options out of the bullpen, or did you kind of hope to have identified, I guess, a core guy that you could rely on at this point?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you would like to have the Mariano Rivera type guy that you think is just going to shut the game down. We've seen to be up and down in the bullpen. We like the multitude of looks. But yeah, we would like to see a couple of guys kind of rise to the top and kind of solidify themselves as the go-to guys. And we think we have that. We just gotta, we have to go out there and be able to prove that.
Mike, I guess what stands out about this Clemson lineup, I think you kind of look at their numbers. They're not the best. They're not flashing in any particular way, but obviously the record, the ranking, all of that speak for itself of the team.
I think this lineup does a good job of working like as a tandem, as one unit. Do a good job of working at bats, walking, hit by pitch seems to be a big part of their game. They've got some guys that could drive the ball to the ballpark, but it seems to me that they kind of hand at bats off to each other and they put together a bunch of quality at bats in a row. That's kind of what I'm seeing so far in the video.
Brad, from the other side with the Clemson pitching staff and maybe especially Canuck on Friday, just what do you see from those guys?
Yeah, tomorrow, I mean, it's a lively fastball. Everyone talks about the changeup, and it's a weapon. It is. It's a Bugs Bunny changeup with depth. It's going to be anywhere from 75 to 80, but he does a really, really good job of locating the fastball. He'll ram it in on lefties. He's developed a little bit of cutter kind of to keep the left-handers at bay whenever you're really just trying to cover away and stay back to disarm the changeup. But it's really good stuff Friday, and then they've been throwing Titsworth on Saturday. He's the guy that started out in the pen for them. kind of a different type of arm altogether, although he's right-handed. I mean, it's a lively riding fastball at the top. It'll have a little bit of like sink, almost like Poe said earlier, Jamie Arnold-esque, that two different fastballs in two locations do two different things. And it's a heavy fastball usage. It'll come at us about 80% of the time. He's developed a really good hard slider. He has a changeup that he'll show to keep you off balance. It's kind of a funky look. And then beyond that, they haven't announced the Sunday guy. I know Bailey's been doing a little bit. It's a four-pitch pitchability left-hander, and then they're going to give you a variety looks to get to the backside with Malstead. And that guy's been lights out for him all year. I think it's like 35 innings and almost 20 appearances, and numbers across the board are really, really good. He'll induce a lot of weak contact, and he'll keep you off balance with a 2 to 3 pitch mix as well. So, I mean, it's going to be a lot of mix and match, a lot of guys on the front side that have some power stuff, and then a lot of guys that can pitch and let their athleticism run around and make some plays for them.
For both of you guys,
Go ahead, Jordan.
for both of you guys, the stolen base was such a big thing for Louisville last weekend. Is it more of a pitcher side? Is it a catcher thing? Like how can you guys combat that going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of a culmination of everything, but I think at times they jumped our looks. At times they jumped our leg. Our legs got a little slow at times. They slow a base, kind of in a dead ball time in between a pitcher walking back to the mound with the head down. So they kind of took a base in every fashion there was. For us, I think we got to shorten up the legs a little bit better. We got to do a better job with some of the slide steps and showing those early. We got to do a better job with mixing the looks, and then the pick plays. I probably got to do a little bit better job picking off some of the looks that we're working off of. And I think, we went to work this week and trying to clean a lot of that up. And I think if you can shorten up the legs and you can mix the looks, I think it will be a lot better result. So.
Building off that as well. I mean, there's times where the stolen base is critical and important, and it leads to chaos and really helps the opposing teams. And there's times where runner at second base and stuff, you really just focus in on that hitter and dial that up to get that guy out. So some of those early on in the weekend weren't as critical. Obviously, Saturday when it feels like it's leading to momentum and kind of exposing a little bit of a weakness on our end. Obviously, that's frustrating, but it's something that we spent a little bit of work on this week, just going through video, showing our guys, talking about it enough that hopefully we'll have some opportunities that if they want to be super aggressive on the bases, we can eliminate some of those guys. And the catcher's got to do a much better job getting the throw off when they have opportunity. I mean, we did have several chances throughout. And if you nab a couple of those guys early on, obviously it kind of leads to a little bit more caution on their side that they won't just run with reckless abandon.
For both of you, what 2 of the last 3 weeks being at home, 2 of the last 3, I think right now are top 5 series is kind of that type of level of competition. What kind of difference does it mean both those series as being this one and the North Carolina series being at Hauser, getting to experience that? I guess how excited are you for what that atmosphere is probably going to be like?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's huge. It's huge. I mean, we've done an unbelievable job building the atmosphere, bringing the energy each time we've been at home. Obviously, haven't had a home weekend here in a little while, being graduation weekend. They're dialing up the Marching Chiefs. Obviously, we have a bad taste in our mouth from last year with the Clemson series, so it's always fun to get a top 5 big time opponent in here with a lot at stake here. And I know Randy Burdett and his team of people have been working on these last few weekends for many, many weeks, just making sure that the crowd is engaged, ready to roll, and the guys feed off it. I mean, make no mistake, our guys love playing at home. It's fun for the hitters, kind of hearing that crowd noise. The pitchers get to dial it up after a big moment. There's a comfort level and understanding and knowing your schedule. And late in the year, it's very advantageous to play at home. So these weekends are critical that we get more down the stretch, and we understand that.
Brad, with Hunter, Link's mentioned that that's probably the hardest transition anybody's going to make is going from high school catcher to college catcher. Just how do you feel like he's developed defensively throughout this season?
Yeah, he's done a great job. I mean, the guy's a worker. He's gotten better on the receiving end of things throughout the season and done a really good job with just the containment of the dirt ball stuff. Obviously throwing it. He's got to continue to improve and stuff just to help our pitching staff out a little bit. But the strides that guy's made and the maturity, the trust with our pitchers to be able to bury some breaking balls, it goes a long way. And I'm really proud of the work he's put in. And he's going to constantly keep improving and getting better. And that's what I love about him is he's always asking questions, always wanting to watch video. I send him post-game reports that he can review. So Carnes's a worker, and he's done a good job improving. and he's got to just continue to keep getting better.
Micah, obviously no midweek this week. Obviously, 2 weekends ago, you guys didn't have a series. Just for the pitching staff as a whole, what's the balance between rest versus rust? I know Coach Jarrett last week mentioned guys were throwing extended bullpens to kind of stay fresh.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little uncharted territory. You usually don't have this, but there's a good balance. I think it's a blessing, that this week we didn't have a midweek and we were able to try to fix some of the mistakes that we needed to fix. We did some live hitter versus pitcher. We did a lot of leg times on the watch. Everything was on the watch this week, so guys were getting real time feedback with where their legs were at. We made some adjustments to some of that. We got some guys that haven't been in the mix that we probably need to get in the mix more, facing hitters out in front of everybody in a game atmosphere in Hauser. And so it was good. It was very productive. It was a good reset, but also it was good that we could go to work and try to clean things up in a controlled setting, not necessarily just rolling back out in the game and hoping that things change. We were able to, make some changes. So.
Micah, we haven't seen Joe Charles in a minute. Is he a guy that's ready? Is he one of the pieces of your guys' puzzle? And then any updates on Connor Holtz by chance?
Yes. Joe's available this weekend. Saw him throw a pin yesterday. He looked good. He's excited. He's ready to go. So he'll be available and in the mix tomorrow. So we're excited to get him back. He's definitely a big piece to this. Holtz is in a throwing program. I actually just watched him throw about 30 minutes ago. He looks good. He's trending back to getting back on the mound. So just whenever he's ready for that, he's kind of in a progression. And so whenever looks like he's pretty close to the mound, and so he shouldn't be too far off.
Mike, I think I was going to ask Link this today. I guess I have to settle for asking you. It's been a while since we've asked about Cam Leiter. Is that something where it's still somewhat up in the air? Has it been? Is it like what's I guess his status? What 3 weeks left in the regular season?
Yeah, I mean he's working through a rehab progression. It's a written progression over X amount of time, and so he's working through those steps by steps. It's hard to comment on his situation because it's kind of like a video game. He's got to pass each step before he can move on to the next one. And if there's setbacks in those steps, it can kind of throw things off. So he's working through it. I think he's getting closer to the backside of this thing. He's going to be cutting it close as far as getting back for the season. And, he's definitely closer than he has been. And, he looks good in his throwing program. It looks right. So, we're hoping that it can keep trending, but it's hard to comment on his situation saying like, yeah, he'll be back for this weekend or that weekend, just because if there's setbacks, it's not fair to him personally. And also to comment on his kind of rehab, you usually don't want to do that, but he looks good. He's closer, and, we are hoping to get him back by the end of the year for sure.
How's his spirits been, Mike? I know it's kind of a cheesy question, but just like how has he kind of comported himself? How is he, it sounds like all the guys talk about how much energy he kind of brings and how important he is to the team. Just for him to not be able to contribute the way he wants to, what's he been able to provide to you guys so far?
Yeah, there's a competitive edge that he brings with him, and people feed off that. His spirits have been good. He's matured greatly through this situation, as you would expect. He's handled it like a pro. When the game's taken away from you, as long as it is, you kind of learn things about yourself, and so he's matured greatly. And I think he'll be better for this, and he'll pitch for a long time, and hopefully we get another crack at him here in the Garnet and Gold.
Brad, just kind of a tough question about Max, but I know obviously him coming off the suspension due to the sportsmanship thing, and then maybe not having the best weekend he wanted to have at the plate. And we've talked to Link about this so much, but maybe just get a different kind of perspective. How have you maybe seen Max carry himself this week? Yeah, obviously realize how important he is to the success of this team. Didn't have the weekend he wanted last week. And is he getting closer to finding the balance between being the mad dog that he is, but also staying within the lines?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Max is a competitive dude, and I mean, sometimes those juices just overflow a little bit when the heat of the moment's and displayed in front of 7,000 people. But the guy shows up every day and puts his work in. He's done a good job of staying even kill through the highs and lows, especially as of late. Early in the year, I felt like he was really swinging it well and had nothing to show for it. Then he kind of had that stretch where he caught fire a little bit. Now he's still hitting some balls hard and having some tough luck. But I mean, he's obviously a key cog in what we're doing, and just getting him going consistently is going to be huge for us. And I mean, Alex engaging from him setting the table. I really feel good about Max moving forward kind of the rest of the way here. And I really like the spot he's in. I mean, he's doing everything he needs to do. He's not riding the highs too high, and he's definitely not getting too low on himself. He's just showing up each day and putting in the necessary work. And I really trust his preparation and like where he's at.
Brad, we've heard Link talk about the impact and energy Chase Williams brings to this lineup and just having him back. How much fun, first of all, is it to have him when he's on the base path? And second of all, just the impact he's had on this team since his return.
Fun to have the guy in the dugout, and it's fun to have him on deck. It's fun to have him in the batter's box, and then it's fun when he's on bases. The guy's just an absolute firecracker, spark plug. Like he brings the juice, whether it's needed or not. That guy's going to show up and absolutely be ready to roll. And I mean, it puts constant pressure on the opponent. It was something we were lacking. We have some power, we have some solid right hand, left hand bats throughout that lineup. But just having the guy that you just absolutely don't want to let your guard down, that heightens the senses of all nine guys that are standing out there on the field is a huge, huge deal. And the moment he gets on base, whether he's running the first pitch, the third pitch, not running at all, every single person in the stadium knows that something's about to happen. And those pitchers can feel it, those catchers can feel it. It leads to better pitches for our hitters to hit. It makes the catcher's job more difficult, blocking, containing everything. So just having that type of energy and that type of spark plug in there is absolutely huge to be able to kind of conceal and just gel that middle of the lineup and roll it to the end to get those guys on base for the top of the order and let them do their thing.
Micah, it feels like recently Wes has kind of had to grind through the first inning, and then after that, he's been able to settle into the game. Just do you feel like there's maybe a common theme with the first inning, or just how would you evaluate his outings recently?
Yeah, it looks like it's taken him an inning or, X amount of pitches to settle in. And actually, in the pregame pen, he probably throws more pitches down there than most of our other guys. So I don't think it's, that. I just think it takes him a minute to settle into the game. And this is new to him, first year starting league play. But it seems like he's getting better, and we talked about this week. We just need him to start a little bit faster and find a way to hot ride in there and kind of just like the relievers, like that first inning's a big inning. So we're looking for him to kind of start a little faster this week. And part of that is getting all your pitches in play in the first inning and not taking 15, 20 pitches to get those in play. But he's a good arm, and I feel fully confident that he can do that.